The massive alien ship appeared on a quiet Tuesday morning. It slid into Earth's orbit with the grace of a swan landing on a lake, its silver hull gleaming in the sunlight. Inside the United Defense Command Center in Geneva, General Roberts stared at the main screen, his coffee cup frozen halfway to his mouth. "Status report," he ordered, his voice steady despite the situation. "Sir, the vessel is 3 kilometers long. No weapons are active, but their shields are up. They're broadcasting on all frequencies," reported Officer Miller from her station. The message that came through was clear and crisp, spoken in perfect English. "Greetings, Earth. I am Ambassador Gray of the Galactic Council. We come in peace and wish to welcome humanity into the greater galactic community." General Roberts exchanged looks with his staff. They had prepared for this day for decades, running countless simulations and developing protocols. But now that it was actually happening, the air felt thick with tension. "Open a channel," Roberts commanded. He straightened his uniform and cleared his throat. "Ambassador Gray, this is General Roberts of Earth's United Defense Command. We acknowledge your arrival." The alien's image appeared on the main screen. Ambassador Gray looked almost human, except for his silvery skin and large, deep purple eyes. He smiled in what he probably thought was a reassuring manner. "Excellent," Gray said. "As per standard council protocol, we will begin your species evaluation immediately. Please prepare your world leaders for integration procedures. The council requires full access to your technological databases, military installations, and governmental systems. This is, of course, non-negotiable for new member species." The control room fell silent. Officer Miller's fingers stopped typing. Captain Jones dropped his tablet. But General Roberts just smiled. "I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding, Ambassador," he said calmly. "Earth will not be providing access to any of our systems or installations. We are not interested in joining your council at this time." Ambassador Gray's smile flickered. He blinked his large eyes several times, as if trying to process a mathematical impossibility. I don't think you understand. This isn't a request. All spacefaring species must join the council. It's how things are done." "Not anymore," Roberts replied. "Earth appreciates your offer, but we must decline. We are, however, open to discussing trade agreements and cultural exchange programs as equal partners." The alien's silver face turned a shade paler. This is unprecedented. In 40,000 years of council history, no species has ever. You cannot simply. I must consult with the council. "Of course," Roberts said pleasantly. "Take all the time you need. We'll be here." As the transmission ended, the control room burst into activity. Screens lit up with data as Earth's hidden defense grid silently powered up, remaining in stealth mode. Satellites repositioned themselves, and deep space monitoring stations went to full alert. "Sir," Captain Jones said, approaching the general station, "do you think they'll try to force the issue?" Roberts watched the alien ship through the main viewport. "They might. That's why we've spent the last 50 years preparing. Ever since we detected their first probe, we knew this day would come." He turned to address the entire room. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we trained for. Earth will not bow to any external authority, no matter how ancient or powerful they claim to be." In orbit, Ambassador Gray's ship maintained its position, its crew frantically sending messages back to the council. They had expected the usual response: fear, awe, immediate submission. Instead, they faced something entirely new, a species that had seen them coming and had prepared accordingly. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in the secret chambers of humanity's defense network, thousands of advanced weapon systems remained quietly armed, ready but hidden. In bunkers across the globe, Earth's real technological achievements stayed safely stored away from prying alien eyes. Humanity had learned long ago that the best surprises were the ones you kept to yourself. As Ambassador Gray's ship hung in orbit, desperately awaiting instructions from his superiors, Earth's people went about their day as usual, many not even aware that today marked the beginning of a new era in galactic politics. The game had changed, and humanity had made the first move by simply saying no. The Grand Council chamber on Alpha Centauri was in chaos. 200 alien representatives shouted over each other, their voices echoing off the crystal walls. Ambassador Gray stood in the center of the round room, looking smaller than usual under the harsh lights. "Silence," boomed Council Leader Green, his deep voice cutting through the noise. The ancient alien skin glowed with anger, casting green light across his podium. "Ambassador Gray, repeat what you just said. Slowly this time." Gray swallowed hard. The humans said no. They refused to join the council. They want equal partnership instead. The chamber erupted again. A tall, blue-skinned representative fell out of his floating chair in shock. Another representative fainted, causing her assistant to spray her with revival mist. "Impossible," shouted Representative Brown, his 4 arms waving wildly. "Every species joins. It is the way things have always been." Leader Green raised his hand for quiet. "Ambassador Gray, did you explain that council membership is mandatory for all spacefaring races?" "Yes, sir." They didn't care. Their military commander just smiled and declined. And Gray paused, his silver skin turning slightly pale. "They were waiting for us." The room grew deadly quiet. "Explain," Leader Green demanded. "They knew we were coming. They've known for 50 of their years. They detected our observation probe." Gray's voice shook slightly. "And sir, their technology, it's not what our probes reported. They hid their real progress from us." Representative Brown jumped up again. "How is this possible? We have watched them since they first split the atom. We saw their primitive space stations, their clumsy rockets." "It was all a show," Gray said quietly. "When I scanned their planet, there are defense systems unlike anything we've seen. They let me detect just enough to send a message. They are not helpless." Leader Green's glow dimmed slightly. He pressed a button, and a hologram of Earth appeared in the center of the chamber. "Show us their true capabilities." Gray connected his memory module to the display. The hologram changed, revealing layers of hidden orbital platforms, underwater bases, and energy signatures that shouldn't have been possible for such a young species. "By the first stars," whispered Representative White, leaning forward. "They developed quantum shielding independently. And their energy readings are those fusion generators. Better than ours," Gray confirmed. "And that's just what they allowed me to see." Leader Green's glow flickered rapidly, a sign of deep distress. "In 40,000 years, we have guided hundreds of species into the council. Some resisted at first, but all eventually saw reason. All except—" "Don't speak of the lost ones," Brown interrupted quickly. Several representatives shuddered. But a younger council member, Representative Gold, spoke up from her lower seat. "Perhaps we should speak of them. The humans remind me of the stories. A species that develops differently, thinks differently." "Silence," Green commanded. "The humans are nothing like the lost ones. They are simply confused. They need to be shown the proper way." "The proper way," Gold challenged, standing up. "Like how the council guided my species, by threatening our colonies until we submitted." The chamber grew tense. Many younger representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. It was rare for anyone to speak of how their species joined the council. "The council brings peace," Green stated firmly. "Structure, order. Without us, the galaxy would fall into chaos." "The humans seem quite orderly on their own," Gold observed. "Perhaps we should consider their offer of equal trade relations." "Impossible," Brown shouted. "It would destroy everything we've built. Other species might start getting ideas." "Exactly," Gold said quietly, but many heard her. Leader Green slammed his hand down. "Enough. We will handle this situation as we always have." Admiral White, a stern-looking alien in a military uniform, stepped forward. "Yes, leader. Prepare the demonstration fleet. Show the humans what they face if they continue this foolishness. As the chamber began emptying, Representative Gold lingered behind. She watched Earth's hologram spinning slowly in the center of the room. For the first time in centuries, a small smile crossed her face. Perhaps, she thought, change was finally coming to the galaxy. Admiral White stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Council's Glory, watching as his fleet of 300 warships emerged from faster-than-light travel near Jupiter. The massive ships spread out in attack formation, their hulls gleaming under the distant sunlight. This display of force had worked on every other species in the past 5,000 years. Send the message, he ordered his communications officer. On Earth, General Roberts was eating his lunch when the alert came in. He calmly finished his sandwich before walking to the command center. The massive screens showed the Council fleet approaching Earth. Right on schedule, Roberts said, wiping his hands with a napkin. They never learn, do they? Officer Miller looked up from her station. Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies. Admiral White's image appeared on the main screen. He stood tall, his white uniform decorated with medals, his expression stern. People of Earth, the Council has given you a chance to join peacefully. Your refusal leaves us no choice but to demonstrate the consequences of defiance. You have 1 hour to reconsider your position. Roberts smiled. It was the same smile he had given Ambassador Gray. Put me through, he said. When the channel opened, Roberts didn't stand or try to look impressive. He just leaned back in his chair. Admiral White, I was wondering when you'd show up. I trust you've had time to scan our system. The alien admiral blinked in confusion. Of course we have. Your primitive defenses are no match for. Look again, Roberts interrupted. This time, try scanning below Jupiter's clouds. White signaled to his science officer. The alien's fingers flew across the holographic controls. Suddenly, his eyes widened. Admiral, there's something down there. Deep beneath Jupiter's swirling storms, thousands of human defense platforms awakened. They had been hidden there for decades, masked by the planet's electromagnetic field. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Impossible, White whispered. Your species couldn't have built all this without us noticing. Oh, that's not all, Roberts said cheerfully. Check Mars next. The Council fleet's sensors swept the red planet. They detected massive underground complexes filled with weapons they didn't even recognize. Similar scans of Venus, Mercury, and even Earth's moon revealed more surprises. But our probes, White stammered, saw exactly what we wanted them to see. Roberts finished. We've been watching you for a long time, Admiral. We knew someday you'd come with your fleet, thinking you could bully us like you did all the others. So we prepared. Officer Miller spoke up. Sir, defense grid is ready. All stations report full power. Around Earth, thousands of hidden satellites dropped their stealth fields. The planet was suddenly surrounded by a web of advanced defense platforms. In orbit, hundreds of human warships appeared, dropping their cloaking devices. Admiral White's face had turned pale. His mighty fleet was now caught between multiple layers of human defenses. This is not possible. You're supposed to be primitive. No, Roberts corrected him. We're supposed to be human. Now, would you like to discuss those trade agreements we mentioned? The Council ships began backing away slowly. Their sensors were detecting energy readings that made no sense. Human technology wasn't just advanced. Some of it worked in ways the Council had never seen before. The Council will hear of this, White threatened, but his voice shook. Good, Roberts replied. Tell them we're still open to peaceful trade. As equals. Oh, and Admiral, next time you want to threaten Earth, bring more ships. After the Council fleet retreated, the command center burst into applause. Captain Jones approached Roberts' station. Sir, do you think they'll try again? Roberts shook his head. No, now they know we can defend ourselves. But more importantly, they know we outsmarted them. Nothing scares the Council more than a species that can think differently. In his office later that day, Roberts looked out his window at the sunset. Somewhere up there, the Council was realizing that humanity wasn't going to follow their rules. The galaxy was about to change, whether the Council liked it or not. "Not bad for a primitive species," he muttered, smiling as he poured himself a well-deserved cup of coffee. Deep in the Council archives on Alpha Centauri, Representative Gold moved silently through the dark halls. Her access card shouldn't have worked at this hour, but someone had helped her get in. Someone who was also tired of the Council's secrets. The archive room was massive, filled with glowing data crystals containing the history of every known species. Gold walked straight to the section marked Technology Development Patterns and began her search. Looking for something specific, a voice asked from the shadows. Gold turned quickly, but relaxed when she saw the archive keeper, an ancient alien named Blue. His skin had faded to almost white with age. "The humans," Gold said. "Something's been bothering me about their technology. It's different." Blue nodded slowly. "You noticed it too. Come, let me show you something." He led her to a sealed room at the back of the archives. Inside, a single crystal glowed brighter than the others. Blue picked it up carefully and placed it in a reader. "This is the complete record of how each species developed faster than light travel," he explained. "Watch carefully." Holograms appeared, showing different alien civilizations. The first showed the Council giving FTL technology to a primitive race. The second showed another species buying it from traders. The third showed a planet stealing the technology from their neighbors. Every species, Blue said quietly, got FTL travel from somewhere else. Every species except the humans, Gold whispered, her eyes widening. They developed it on their own. Not just FTL, Blue continued, pulling up more records. Quantum shielding, gravity manipulation, stealth systems, they created it all independently. In the entire history of the galaxy, no other species has done this. Gold sat down hard in a floating chair. But why is this important? So they think differently. The Council doesn't just control its members, Blue interrupted. It controls how species develop, gives them technology in a specific order, keeps them dependent. He looked at Gold seriously. When was the last time your species created something truly new? Gold tried to remember. Her people had been Council members for centuries, but all their recent technology had come from trade or Council grants. I can't remember. Exactly, Blue said. The Council doesn't just guide species. It stops them from developing independently. It's afraid of species that can innovate on their own. At that moment, alarms began blaring throughout the archive. Gold jumped up. Someone knows we're here. Blue remained calm. Take this, he said, handing her a small data crystal. It contains the truth about human development. They didn't just create new technology. They saw through our observation methods. They knew we were watching and showed us what we wanted to see. Why are you showing me this? Gold asked, taking the crystal. Because in 40,000 years, I've never seen the Council this frightened, Blue replied. They're not afraid of human weapons. They're afraid because humans prove that their whole system is wrong. Species can develop better without Council control. Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Guards were coming. Go, Blue urged. Use the back exit. And Gold, share this with the younger Council members. It's time for things to change. Gold slipped out just as the guards burst in. As she hurried through the dark streets of the Council city, her mind raced. Humans hadn't just refused to join the Council. They had proved that everything the Council claimed about technological development was a lie. Back in her quarters, Gold studied the crystal's contents. The data was clear. Humanity's independent development had produced technologies that worked differently, sometimes better, than Council versions. They had taken different paths, found different solutions. No wonder the Council is panicking, she muttered. Her communication device blinked with an urgent message. Other young council representatives wanted to meet secretly. Word was spreading. Questions were being asked. Gold looked out her window at the council's central tower, glowing in the night sky. For the first time in centuries, cracks were appearing in the council's perfect image. And it was all because humans had done the impossible. They had developed on their own their way. The council wasn't just facing a species that said no. They were facing proof that their entire system of control was unnecessary. And that proof was about to spark a revolution among the younger council members who had always suspected there might be a better way. The human ship Star Horizon appeared at the edge of council space without warning. Unlike the blocky council vessels, it was sleek and curved, its hull shimmering with a faint blue glow. At its helm stood Ambassador Stone, Earth's first official representative to the galactic community. "They're hailing us again," reported his pilot. "That's the 5th time in 10 minutes. Stone smoothed his gray suit and smiled. "Let them wait a bit longer. Timing is everything in diplomacy." Inside the council's diplomatic station, officials rushed around in panic. The human ship had simply appeared, passing through all their defense screens like they weren't even there. Nobody knew how it had gotten so deep into council territory without being detected. Finally, Stone allowed the communication link to open. The station's commander appeared on screen, trying to hide his fear behind a stern expression. "This is a restricted area," the commander said. "Your presence here is unauthorized." "Actually," Stone replied, pulling out a data tablet, "according to Galactic Law Section 47B, any species that achieves independent faster-than-light travel has the right to establish diplomatic relations with any civilization they can reach." He paused. "We've done our homework." The commander's mouth opened and closed several times. How do you know about our laws?" "We've been listening to your communications for decades," Stone said cheerfully. "Very educational. Now, I believe Council Leader Green is expecting me." 20 minutes later, Stone walked confidently through the station's halls, ignoring the stunned looks from various alien species. He entered the diplomatic chamber where Leader Green and several council representatives waited. "You're making a mistake," Green said immediately. "The council system has maintained peace for 40,000 years." Stone placed his briefcase on the table. "Has it? Or has it just maintained control?" He pulled out several data crystals. These contained trade offers from Earth, not membership applications. Trade offers, as equals. Representative Brown jumped up. "This is outrageous. You cannot simply." "We can, and we are," Stone interrupted calmly. "You see, while you were busy trying to intimidate us, we were making friends." He activated a hologram showing various star systems. "These 12 council member species have already expressed interest in direct trade with Earth, without council oversight." The room went silent. Green's glow dimmed to almost nothing. "That's impossible," he whispered. "All trade must go through council channels." "Must it?" Stone asked. He turned to the other representatives in the room. "Did you know that the council takes 40% of all trade profits as administrative fees? We're offering direct trade. No fees, no restrictions on technology sharing, no artificial limits on development." Several younger representatives leaned forward with interest. Stone continued, "Earth has also discovered 6 habitable planets beyond council space. We're offering colonization rights to any species that wants to develop independently." "Beyond council space," Brown sputtered. "You've explored beyond our borders." Stone's smile widened. "Oh yes, your borders end much closer to your core worlds than you tell your member species. We've been out there for years. It's quite nice." "This will destabilize everything," Green warned. "Change isn't always destabilization," Stone replied. "Sometimes it's just progress." He pushed the data crystals forward. "You have 2 choices. Either work with us as equals, or watch as more species choose to work with us anyway. And if you're thinking of trying military action again," he gestured at his ship through the window, "well, you've seen how that worked out. As the council members argued among themselves, Stone received a private message from Earth. More council species were quietly requesting direct contact. The revolution had already begun. Later, in his ship's private quarters, Stone recorded his daily log. Day 1 of negotiations complete. The council is exactly what we expected. An organization that grew so used to control, it forgot why it was created in the first place. But their member species hadn't forgotten. They'd just been waiting for someone to show them another way. He looked out at the stars, remembering something General Roberts had told him. The Council's greatest mistake wasn't trying to control humanity. It was forgetting that every species dreams of reaching the stars their own way. The revolution would be peaceful, but it would change the galaxy forever. And it all started because humanity simply said no. The Great Hall of the Council, once a symbol of galactic power, was half empty. Empty seats created dark gaps in the circular chamber, like missing teeth in a once perfect smile. Leader Green stood at his podium, watching as another representative walked out. The Trade Federation of Proxima formally withdraws from the Council, the alien announced before leaving. That made 15 species in just 1 week. Representative Brown rushed to Green's side. We must do something. They're all leaving to join the humans' new alliance. Before Green could respond, the chamber's main doors burst open. Representative Gold walked in, followed by 30 younger council members. She carried the archive Crystal Blue had given her. I think it's time we discussed what's in this, Gold announced, her voice echoing through the chamber. She inserted the crystal into the central display system. Images filled the air above them. Secret records of how the Council had held back technological development, hidden reports of suppressed innovations, proof of how they had kept species dependent on them. For 40,000 years, Gold said, we believed the Council was necessary for progress. But humans proved us wrong. They developed faster, better, because they were free to try new ways. Green's glow turned dark red with anger. You dare bring classified information. The humans didn't just develop their own FTL drive. Gold continued, speaking over him. They created technologies we never imagined because they weren't following our approved development path. And now other species are doing the same. The remaining council members whispered among themselves. On the large screens around the chamber, reports kept coming in. The Proxima scientists had already created a new form of quantum communication. 3 species working together had developed better medical technology in 1 month than the Council had approved in a century. Trade between free worlds had doubled in a week. Don't you see? Gold asked the chamber. The Council doesn't maintain peace, it maintains control. And that control is breaking. Brown jumped up. This is treason. Guards. But when he looked around, the guards were gone. Through the chamber windows, they could see ships leaving the Council's space docks. Whole fleets were departing. The military stations near Beta Centauri have declared independence, and aid reported, rushing in. The colonies in the Outer Rim are refusing Council orders. The trade routes are open to everyone now. Green slumped in his chair, his glow fading to a dull flicker. Everything we built, falling apart because of one primitive species. No, Gold corrected him. Falling apart because it was built on control instead of cooperation. The humans just showed everyone there was another way. On the main screen, a new message flashed. The human ambassador Stone was requesting to address the Council. When his image appeared, he wasn't smiling anymore. He looked serious. You once asked why humans said no to joining the Council. Stone said, here's why. We believe every species has the right to develop in their own way, to reach the stars on their own terms. Yes, some will make mistakes. Some will need help. But that help should lift them up, not hold them down. As he spoke, more council members stood and walked out. Not in anger now, but with purpose. They had worlds to rebuild, innovations to unleash, futures to create. Your council stood for 40,000 years. Stone continued. That's impressive. But look how much progress happened in just 1 week when species were free to work together as equals. Gold stepped forward. The old council is finished, she announced. But perhaps it's time for something new. Not a council of control, but one of cooperation. Will Earth help us build it? Stone smiled then. That's all we wanted in the first place. A galaxy where every species is free to reach their full potential. As the sun set on the council's capital world, ships rose into the darkening sky. They carried scientists eager to share ideas, traders ready to build new routes, and diplomats prepared to forge real friendships between worlds. The age of control was over. The age of cooperation had begun. And it all started because humans had shown the galaxy that sometimes the most powerful word in any language is no. 5 years had passed since the day humanity said no. The old council tower still stood on Alpha Centauri, but now it served a different purpose. Where once there were closed chambers filled with secrets, open gardens bloomed. Where armed guards once stood, students from 100 species now walked freely. General Roberts stood at the window of his new office, watching ships of all shapes and sizes move through the sky. Each one represented a different species approach to space travel. No two were exactly alike anymore. Quite a view, isn't it? Ambassador Stone asked, joining him at the window. Hard to believe this all started with one word. No. Roberts smiled. Such a simple word, but powerful when used right. The door opened and Representative Gold walked in, followed by several other aliens. She now served as one of the coordinators of the new Galactic Trade Federation, a loose alliance of independent species. The latest reports are in, she announced, activating a holographic display. Scientific advancement is up 800% across all member worlds. Trade has increased by 600%, and 3 more species have achieved independent spaceflight. Roberts nodded. And the old guard. Even Representative Brown finally admitted the new way works better. Gold laughed. He's leading a research team now, if you can believe it. Turns out he's quite creative when not bound by old rules. The display showed images from across the galaxy. A mixed team of human and alien scientists had created a new form of clean energy. Former council species were exploring beyond known space, making their own discoveries. Young aliens studied at new universities where innovation was encouraged. Trading ships from dozens of worlds gathered at free ports. There are problems sometimes, Stone admitted. Not every species agrees on everything. Some developments have led to complications. That's normal, Roberts replied. Freedom includes the freedom to make mistakes and learn from them. It's better than being controlled. Gold touched to control, showing their latest project. A massive space station being built by 20 different species, each contributing their own unique technology and ideas. We call it Unity Station, she explained. Not because we're all the same, but because we're all different and choose to work together anyway. The old council would never have allowed it. Speaking of the old council, Stone said, you'll never guess who I met yesterday. Leader Green. Everyone turned to look at him. How is he? Gold asked softly. Changed, Stone replied. He's teaching history now at the new university, teaching about how the old council went wrong, so future generations can do better. Roberts walked to his desk and picked up a small object, the first microchip humans had ever built. You know what the funny thing is? If the council had just asked us to join as equals from the start, we probably would have said yes. But then nothing would have changed, Gold pointed out. Sometimes the galaxy needs a shake-up. Through the window, they watched as a ship took off. It was a strange mix of designs, part human, part alien, all new. Its crew was just as mixed, species working together because they wanted to, not because they were ordered to. The lost ones would be proud, Gold said quietly. The who? Roberts asked. An old story, she replied, about species who chose their own path. We used to think they failed. Now we know they were just ahead of their time. As the sun set on Alpha Centauri, the stars began to appear. Somewhere out there, new species were developing, growing, dreaming of reaching those stars. When they did, they wouldn't find an empire waiting to control them. Instead, they would find a galaxy of equals, each walking their own path, but willing to help others walk theirs. A galaxy where no to control meant yes to cooperation. A galaxy that changed forever because humans refused to kneel. In his old age, when asked about that historic day, General Roberts would always say the same thing. We didn't change the galaxy by being stronger or smarter. We changed it by showing others they were already strong and smart enough to change it themselves. And across the stars, a billion voices that had been silent for 40,000 years spoke up, each in their own unique way, adding their story to the great tale of how humanity's no became the galaxy's yes to freedom.